Optimism, it's not a mood. I often get called optimistic, and it really isn't a mood. It's more of a frame of mind, and it's a reasoned opinion. Problems are inevitable and problems have solutions. If you know that and you know that every problem has a solution, then optimism is the logical solution to that. It's the logical way of being in the world. The hierarchy is, I think, the death of good ideas. So I think flat management structure, getting rid of hierarchy and allowing people to go to whoever they need to go to get the problem solved, not through a channel. If you overthink things, then you can sit around in analysis paralysis and never really get started. The first bureau booth was a disaster, but we learnt, adapted.
You're listening to The Ultimate Leader's Edge, where we explore the mindset and methods behind great leadership. Today I'm joined by Toby Bensimon, Managing Director of Shiels and Graham's Jewelers, one of the nicest and most humblest individuals you'll meet. He's helped navigate the shift from traditional retail to e-commerce, led through significant industry disruption, and continue to grow businesses that have been helping Australians celebrate life's special moments for generations. I'm looking forward to unpacking Toby's leadership journey, the lessons he's learnt scaling a family business, and how he's managed to honour the past while continuing to build for the future. Toby, welcome to The Ultimate Leader's Edge. So we might get started, and to get us started, it is absolutely my personal pleasure to have you here, because not only have I had the joy of working with you and watching how and just the success story that sits behind it, I've had the opportunity to get involved in multiple different ways. So I'm even more excited to be able to tell the story today and hear, I guess, underneath the business side of what people see about you, what sits underneath that, the leadership lessons, the culture lessons, the business lessons. But to get us started, give us a little bit about the journey of Toby.
Well, I learned a lot of those lessons from you, so maybe you can tell us the story.
Well, it's been about 20 years, I'm thinking, like 15 years, so a long time.
Symbiotic relationship. But yeah, I mean, I got started working with my dad many years ago in the business, but it started before that at the dinner table, learning the lessons of retail over chicken and rice.
Yes.
And my mum as well. My mum worked in the business at that time, so it was really good to see and learn all the problems and issues that they faced as a startup business, which was what it was at the time.
And how old were you when that all started?
I was really right from the beginning, from age 2 when he bought the business. And
There's dinner conversation from the time you can remember.
Yeah, and that's what our dinner table was. It was, what did you do today? Like he'd always ask, like my parents would always ask me, what did I learn at school? And I had to actually try to remember. And I would ask the same thing, like, tell me what you learned today, Dad. And he was like, well, I learned how to do terminations or tax filing, all those kinds of tricky things. But I was always very curious about how that operated.
Yeah.
I mean, I think it's normal for, my sister feels the same way, to grow up to want to be like your parents. And I ended up actually doing it, so I don't know if that's a good thing or a bad thing, but I'm certainly enjoying it, so it's good for me. And that's kind of how I got the taste for retail, was really being in the business from a very early age and working through the business and in the business from a very young age.
And they set you off early, didn't they, Albert? Like you had a different in that you got to experience another country super early on.
Oh, that, yeah. My parents shipped me off when I was 11 to go to France to a family they didn't know and I didn't know. It was a weird time to be alive. It says a lot about my parents, right? It was
very clever.
A Rotary exchange to France. Yes. So I stayed with the family there and I really enjoyed it. It was at a place called Caen in Normandy, and an incredible part of the world, and a lovely family that I stayed with. And then I actually have lots of family in France. And the second time I went, I stayed with my auntie for 3 months in Paris. Yeah.
Because I think it's some of these lessons that we learn early that stay with us, that make us the people who we are today. And you are perhaps one of the most optimistic people I know. What do you think helped shape that from an early age?
The optimism?
Yeah.
Optimism is not, it's not a mood. For me, I think that it is for some people. I often get called optimistic, and it really isn't a mood. It's more of a frame of mind, and it's a reasoned opinion. And the reason for the optimism is, the problems are inevitable and problems have solutions. And the solution is to gather and create knowledge. And so I think that it's only logical, it flows, that optimism is the correct way forward. And if you look around, everyone's lives improve every year. Every business gets better over time. Well, not all of them, but they can. There is a point in time at which there is an infinite level of growth that you can achieve.
Yeah.
And if you know that, and you know that every problem has a solution, then optimism is the logical solution to that. It's the logical way of being in the world. Whereas pessimism, it sort of suggests that you think that knowledge isn't the answer, and that there's a finite amount of knowledge and things stop growing. And that, I think, is pessimism. I think it's wrong. It's actually in terms of physics, it's incorrect. It's not the right answer.
And it does shape the way you think and what you think about, doesn't it? I mean, I don't think there's a phone call I ring you on that you don't say, today's the best day ever. You genuinely get up each day thinking that, I think, don't you? Like, you actually get up with, how am I going to solve some big problems, or what am I going to do? And even through some of those tougher times, you're still looking at the half glass full, not the half glass empty.
Yeah, sometimes it's a curse when you actually solve a good problem, because you're so glad to be dealing with it, and it's so enjoyable to just be sitting with that problem that when you solve it, it feels like you've lost a child. But luckily, problems have problem children, so you can move to the next one. And the problems are inevitable. They come thick and fast, and you've got to choose which ones are worth paying attention to.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Growing up in a family business, I mean, you've got your sister who is in business, you've got your dad who's, famously in business. What are some of the lessons you've learned along the way of being in a family business?
A family business is a very different kettle of fish to other businesses I've been involved in, where I'm either a co-founder or collaborating with people. There's a level of disrespect that can creep in a family business, because you feel so comfortable with your family, and you talk to them in a way that is so familiar that in front of other people it can seem a bit spicy. Yeah. So I remember I had this very, very good chair who was operating on our board, who said, when Dad handed the keys to me and said, it's your company, he never really handed them to me, sort of gave them and then kept a piece of string on it. It was at the beginning. Yeah. And this guy, Ian Ellis, who is a fantastic guy, he said it's going to take 3 years. He'd worked on a lot of family businesses at the same level that we were at, kind of the similar sized businesses. And almost to the day, it was 3 years, and then Dad just gave up and said, you know what, I think you've got this. And I was kind of mind-blowing that it happened almost to the day. It's 3 years to the day. But you wouldn't swap it for the world, would you? I mean, family businesses can be the best and worst things in the world. But I've found working with my dad to be incredible. And I really appreciate it now, all these years later. I mean, when we're talking about that transition, that was 15 years ago. I mean, now it's just, we're really close, and we really spend every day together, and it's fantastic. Yeah.
And I mean, just talking about that transition, you were in the business before you were the CEO.
Yep.
Talk me through that transition into being in the business, having to prove yourself, moving into the CEO role, and then that next stage where you get somebody else to come in. How do you know that it's your time to move to the side? So how did you move into that, and then how did you move out of it?
It was noticing that when I walked into a room with buyers and other people who were doing roles that I used to do, and you're sitting opposite a supplier. This is just an example, one example of many, but I could give you more. Yeah. So I'm sitting opposite a supplier who I no longer work with, but I'm the owner of the business. All of a sudden, the minute I get in there, they're just looking at me, talking to me, directing to me, and I wasn't really aware of that until it got pointed out by one of the buyers. It's like, can you please not come to these meetings? And I took it as a bit of an insult, but then I noticed that it's true. Like, all of a sudden, they're talking to the people that matter, and that just shifts to me. I have no idea what's going on. I'm not involved in that area anymore, like buying gold or whatever it was that I used to do. Yep. But it became an issue where everything sort of stops with you, and that you can't run a large organisation at scale with that happening anywhere in the business. It has to be stamped out. And I found that would exist not just with suppliers, but with every area of the business. People would look to me for the answer, and I wasn't the best person to give that answer. And the error correction mechanism of a company and the speed at which you can correct errors is the one thing that matters in terms of being successful or going broke. And so when I became very aware of that. It took sort of 3 years to see it extremely clearly. I could tell that I was doing more harm than good by being in that leadership role, and just primarily because of that error correction mechanism, which would cease to exist. And so people were just doing things that I said to do, unless I was really clear about, please don't do it, this is just a chat. I had to be oddly specific about voicing that, and that was, it was wrong. It was very wrong. So I knew it was time to step aside and be a strategic thinker and no longer have the CEO role.
And the day-to-day. I mean, you've actually successfully been able to do that now, where you can put a CEO in, you've got a team who can run it, and you can actually focus in on some of the things you're doing, as well as some other businesses as well.
It's been excellent. It's been a much better position for me to be in as well. It was very hard to do. It would be hard for anybody to do, I imagine, because you get really used to it, and it's quite intoxicating sometimes.
It is, yeah.
You know, but ultimately it's enabled me to do a lot more things with my life, and start other businesses and be involved in a lot of startups, which I really enjoy doing, and it's been good.
So tell me about that, your other businesses, because a lot of people know you for Shiels and Grahams. They don't necessarily know you for Bureau Booths or some of the other, businesses that you've been involved in. Tell me about some of the other businesses you've been involved in, and where and what kind of gets you excited when you're thinking about reviewing a business.
It all starts with arguments with my dad. So I bought the first Nespresso machine that launched in Australia, and it's because of my trip to France when I was 13. My uncle had this machine 30 years ago. It would have been the first one in France, probably. And I just remember being fascinated by this little pod that could pump out this crema. Everything about it tickled my fancy. And it stuck with me. I actually spoke to him about it recently, about him being the inspiration for that business. But many years later, when Nespresso launched in Australia, I bought those pods, and Dad said, look, either this machine goes or you go, because it's $400 a quarter and we can't support it. The company's not profitable enough. So I said, hang on, there's got to be another way. And we ended up deconstructing a pod and weighing it and working out like a typical family business kind of argument, where we're trying to work out the cogs of, cost of doing business, and what are the unit costs, what's the first principles approach to this company. Shit, this Nespresso company is making way too much profit. It's got to be at least 85%. Let's start a company. And literally the day after that argument, which I won, and always do win.
Always.
I met my friend Toby Strong at a dinner with a few other mates down at the beach, and asked him if he wanted to start this company, and it literally started the very next day after that. So, and we became the first manufacturer of Nespresso compatible pods in Australia, and it's been going for 15 years, a very successful business. And off the back of that success...
So that's PodPack, and that's another one you've been involved in, and obviously still runs. You had one over COVID as well.
We had many over COVID. So during COVID, our company was a 747 flying towards Mount Kosciuszko, and it was going to explode. We literally had no sales coming in, except for a trickle of web sales. And so we were shitting ourselves, thinking, how are we going to keep all these people employed? How are we going to, everything was just an existential crisis. It was a big black swan event for everybody, right? I'm not the only one who had the oh shit moment in COVID. And so we organised this Zoom call with people with money and smart people with ideas, and we got together and we thought we could make babies.
Right.
And
you did.
We thought that if we make 4 or 5 or whatever babies, like one of them will do well, and we could just kill the others off. As it turns out, all 5 are still around, so they've all been successful. And a couple of them are doing really well, becoming global businesses now.
But Bureau Booths was another one of those.
That's one of the big ones. That's the best one out of them.
And what a smart idea. I mean, we've got, 4 of them in our offices here.
Thank you for your service.
Pleasure. And so, but such a smart idea in terms of doing it. How do you come up with them? Like, what's the process to do it? And then secondly, you don't just think about it and talk about it. You take action and it happens. So talk me through that process from idea to implementation.
The ideas are easy. Like, anything that pisses you off is a business. So whenever you get really angry about something in the world, That's a problem to solve, and if you're not the only one that's upset about it, then it could be a big problem to solve. It could be a lot of zeros at the end of that.
Yeah.
And having annoying people in the office, of which I am one, like loud, annoying, people are always telling me, go in the office or close your door, you're too noisy. We all know people like that, right?
Yeah.
And that was where that idea came from. That idea wasn't my idea, it was my brother-in-law's idea, but it was, having an internal office booth, a soundproof acoustic booth that you can put like a telephone box, old school telephone box, chuck the noisy guy in there, they could take a Zoom call, So that solved a problem, and a problem during COVID that was exacerbated by Teams calls and all these sorts of video conferencing calls, and work had changed dramatically since COVID and during COVID. So it was a perfect time to launch that business.
Yeah.
I suppose, is that the answer?
Great, yeah. But you come up with the idea, you've got these Zoom calls, you're jamming, you've solved this problem. How do you go from, geez, this would be cool, to global brand production? Do you go, right, bang, let's put someone on it?
Yes.
Let's put a plan together. Let's just ring around and get the idea and test it. What's your next step? Because you do it so well.
Yeah, it's finding the person that can run that business. And in this case, it was Tyson Gunderson, who's an incredible operator, very sharp guy. We met him, you can pretty much put him in any business and it will do well. Yeah. So you pick the best one, put him in that. Yeah. But he came on, started the company really, he's a founder. Once you do that, I don't think having a business plan is a good idea. I think that, in my opinion...
It limits or...
Well, yeah, it limits the way you're thinking. And also your business plan, if you've ever written one, they are useless. Like you look at it, if I read a business plan that I wrote about Bureau, it would be a completely different company to what we built. It is completely different now to what it was. And it ended up morphing into 3 other companies that spun off, and all these things happen. I think if you have a business plan and you stick to it, you're sort of limiting yourself. Yeah. Well, it might be different for everyone, but for me, I couldn't think anything worse than writing a business plan, to be honest.
And how do you measure success? So I'm not saying you need the business plan to do that, but what are your measures of success for that business when you're setting it up?
I mean, it's going to sound pretty bland, but it's sales, right? It's just getting the cash in the door. And if you're making your customers happy and you're laser focused on them and you can see that other markets are emerging and wanting your product, success is really, how spicy is this company looking? And that one, right from the beginning, was pretty spicy. Yeah,
I love that. Retail, and I guess traditional retail, and now, looking at you guys being such a successful omni-channel business, that journey for you, your views on retail around what you need to do to be successful. A lot of retailers are suffering right now, and you have performed consistently. What's the secret sauce around retail, do you think? And what's some of those things that you need to do to be successful in retail right now?
I think it's trying to figure out what the big thing is going to be in 12 or 24 months. Yeah. And then just doing it and not thinking about it or writing a plan, just jump into it. So when lab-grown diamonds, when that trend emerged in our market, we didn't think for 1 second on that. We just over-invested. We hired people and put them on it. And so we were preparing for a market that didn't exist. And now it exists, now it's huge, but we were able to capitalise that on a big way. I think that it works across all businesses. I think if you pick an idea, and then it is a risk, because if you overinvest and the market ends up being a fizzer, then you've wasted your time. But more often than not, it's not. Like you know what a good idea is, especially if you're close to that business, you can sort of feel it in your gut, right? This one's going to be huge, and you just put everything into it. Yeah. It's about reading the future. It's about predicting what's going to happen in the future.
Yeah, that's good. And I think, you had a clear vision. You had 50, I think 50 stores. I mean, bricks and mortar is still an important part of that kind of strategy that you've got, and I think will always continue to be. Yeah, bricks and mortar is our core business. It's still very much the core business. Yeah, it's good. Balance, and I'm not sure I agree with that word, but you are now a dad, a loving husband, you've got multiple businesses. What do you do to get to be and give the right time to the right things?
Well, my dad taught me retail at the dinner table, so there is no such thing as balance. It's called dinner time. It's called integration. It's called, if you want to go on a holiday, better make sure it's at a country where you've got an office.
Yeah,
you can sneak
Wi-Fi.
out. Yeah, I don't think that there's work-life balance.
No.
I think it's more like just your life.
Your integration.
What do you want your life to be like?
Yeah.
And if you find work fun, then it doesn't feel like work. It feels like play, and that's like a holiday too. For me personally, it's kind of fun, so I don't really look at it as work.
No, but you also make time to take the family to Paris and to spend time and be there. I see you walking the pram every morning, so you take the time
on
to
the
do
phone
the important stuff.
An investor.
But getting those things or standards that you do, is there anything you do to fit more in your life? Because you do a lot and you do it kind of effortlessly. So anything you attribute back to that, to how do you fit it all in, and what routines do you kind of follow to enable you to do that amount of stuff?
The older you get, the less you have to do, actually, to be honest. And it's not by choice, it's by, not being the CEO of Shiels. That was I couldn't have done anything else. It was a very task-heavy load. So not having that and being able to think strategically across other businesses. You don't have to make as many decisions per day. They have to be higher quality, and they're a lot more consequential because every decision you make goes to 60 stores and to but it's not as onerous. It's actually less work, more consequential but less work.
Yeah. What's the best piece of advice you've ever been given?
Best piece of advice is probably to trust your gut instinct. It is probably the most valuable piece of advice I've been given. That was from my dad. And the gut is not always right, but damn, if you overthink things, then you can sit around in analysis paralysis and never really get started. And in company, back to a previous question that you asked me, which is related to this, is to get things off the ground, just pick the minimum viable product and just do it and launch it. You've got to launch the product as quickly as possible, and then you learn from the failures that are inevitably going to come from that. Your first product, the first bureau booth was a disaster, but we learnt, adapted, did a second one, third one, and then by iterating that product to its 1000th iteration now, it's now a killer product. But if you don't get started, or if you're planning for the perfect product, you're never going to get started because it will take you your whole lifetime to get there.
Yeah, it's good advice. Test and iterate and get it out to the market because you'll never learn more than what the market will tell you.
Launch Frankenstein. Launch the ugly product because your customers are going to tell you what's wrong with it better than you can.
Yeah, that's good. What, to get your team, your leadership team performing, if you got any rhythms, systems, habits, things that have worked that have been successful for you, is it a one-on-one, is it sprints, is it, getting them off for strategy days, is it anything that you do to kind of align your team to one focus?
When I was working as CEO, it's different to now. Now it's about conveying what we want as business owners, which is really speed.
Actually, that's a really important point because not a lot of people do that. They take a step out and still want to be in. You have taken a step out and you're really conscious of letting the CEO be the CEO. Yeah, and those things have changed. The things that we're requiring of our team, we used to require different things, and now what we require, and I think this might be common to a lot of other people in my position, is speed, because the rate of change it could be a throwaway line because I think every generation says this, but it is real, I think. I think that the rate of change is an order of magnitude more than it was when my dad was doing what I was doing, and an order of magnitude more than before that. It's just it's going at an exponential growth rate. And it is moving now at a tsunami, speed of sound tsunami.
It's unbelievable. Like, every time you open up Claude, there's a new thing and that can change your life.
Yeah.
So you better jump on it. And now it's more speed. Just move fast. Even if you are making mistakes, just keep going and turbocharge your company. And now my teams don't know that. When you have new recruits that come into the business, they especially if they've come from a big corporate, that is like a very new thing for them to hear. So you got to really drum it in. Like, you just say it like 20
Don't
times.
ask for permission sometimes, just go. And
And stop talking to me about it. By the time it takes you to explain it to me, you could have actually just built it. You could have talked to an AI agent and had it built by now.
And,
so shut up and get to work. And then if I'm not happy with what you've built, I'll let you know. But don't just stop wasting time.
Yeah. I mean, you know, definitely are the most humble, you know, bright spark. And I know and have seen you walk into a store and people light up and people kind of come to you just because of that energy that you put out. Values, or, you know, the kind of culture that you want for your company.
Yeah.
What's that?
A flat management structure. I think like these structures emerge, and you've got to tamp them down. They emerge, and you've got to constantly do the gardening and hedge trimming, because the hierarchy is, I think, the death of good ideas. When there's a problem, back to error correction being like the number one thing you need in a company in order to succeed. If people don't feel comfortable coming to you with problems that they can see, or the best thing I can do with my day is go to someone in my team and say, what could I be doing better that we're not doing as a company? And you'd be surprised what they say. Things that you never would have thought of, and they're right, because they're right on the coalface. They know exactly, they're working closer to where the problem is. And we're unaware of those problems. So I think flat management structure, getting rid of hierarchy all the time, like just trimming that every day, and allowing people to go to whoever they need to go to get the problem solved, not through a channel, just direct, like unfiltered, pump it straight into the solutions machine.
And it goes back to speed, but it's actually a mistake, and a lot of people did it when they got busier after COVID, because they threw people at the problem. And actually, you know, the people creates the bureaucracy, and you're better to have a team of A players than a whole bunch of B and C, I think. And that, just by adding someone in, doesn't mean that you're necessarily going to get the answer. It just means you're going to get there longer. Sometimes you kind of take the speed out, don't you?
Well, the answer gets filtered and it gets distorted. By the time it's gone through two people, it's not the right answer. That's what we've found, and we're not doing it perfectly. We're doing it imperfectly all the time. It needs to be trimmed all the time.
And we continue to learn, don't we? And that's another thing about you, is your humbleness and your thirst for knowledge. I think you read more books than anyone I know. It's something that I know you enjoy doing, but you also avidly try and grow and develop as a person. And, you know, you listen, you take advice, you know, seek out help when you need it. What do you recommend to other CEOs and entrepreneurs around how do they continue to grow and develop and keep that forever learning mentality? Because I think once you think you're an expert in something, you kind of lose that ability to learn something new.
It's a hard question to answer. I think if you think you're an expert in a world that's changing this fast,
it's crazy.
Think again, because you're not tomorrow's expert. I think reading a lot is a good idea. I think you should read get your news from Twitter and then read books in history, but don't read anything else. I suppose it's a sense of curiosity that you should instill. You got to instill it in your kids. That's a big challenge too, making them curious. I'm not sure if you're born with that or if that's created, but I think curiosity, being really interested in all kinds of things is kind of a good thing to be. If you're going to run a company, I think you have to be curious about everything. You have to want to know how things work, right?
And I mean, on that, obviously your dad had you around the dinner table, you would have, you know, seen the ads, you would have done all those things. How and what did he do? Because he's got two pretty amazing kids. What was some of the things that he did to instill that curiosity? So,
well, all of it involved near-death experiences, like creating rockets with me, and we
actually, I remember this story.
Illegal things, yes, plenty of those. I mean, my life was punctuated by a sense of curiosity from, you know, when you're a kid, you want to do naughty, illegal things. And my dad was a facilitator of all of those. Much to my mum's chagrin, she was very unhappy when she saw the singed eyebrow and the hole through the fence, all these things. But I think my dad found it extremely amusing. And I certainly did. And I think, that was his superpower. His superpower is doing crazy things all the time.
And like, you know, he still dives, he's physically fit.
Yeah.
He pushes the boundaries to live life to its fullest. And I think he's probably embedded that early with you from a really young age, sending a child overseas and, you know, learning to be on your own gives you that resilience and that skill, I think. What do you now instill in your kids? What are some of the things that are really important for them?
Well, the same thing. I mean, we're throwing them in the deep end on a second language and talking to them and getting them to go to school in another country and all that sort of stuff. So I feel like that's important because it was important to me. I look back at that as a fond memory from my childhood. So we're giving that to our kids. And, you know, they're still very young, but when they're older, it'll be more of that, more of the throwing them in the deep end. Yeah, so long as they like it. I don't want to torment the poor kids. But I mean, my sister and I both...
They speak French now, do they?
Yeah, they do. It's 2 parents, 2 languages in the house, so that's good. And throwing them in the deep end is probably a good thing, as long as they enjoy it.
Yeah. Obviously, you're a young leader, and you know, still young and growing and doing lots of things. But if you were to go back and give your younger self advice, what would you go back and say?
Tell everyone else to get their shit together, because then by now my life would be easier. Is this a time machine? Because that would be a good one. I think. That's my New Year's resolution, by the way, for everyone else to get their shit together.
Okay, good. I want to know how you're going to do that.
Just tell them. I mean, it really goes back to having confidence. Just have confidence in yourself and go for it, because it's an abundant, like the world is full of abundance. Yeah. There's plenty of things to do. Yeah. Just go with it. Don't follow your passion. Follow what seems interesting rather than passion. Yeah, maybe.
And what excites you about the future? So what's next? Whether it's in business, in retail, personally, what's kind of ahead that excites you?
I think we're living right on the edge of a tsunami, and we've got to catch this wave. This new wave of AI is the most exciting thing that will ever happen to us. It's like the .com boom. You know, there's probably a few bubbles there too, but it's going to be 10 times bigger than that, and it's wild. We're creating like cognitive ability out of sand. It's like proper alchemy. What a time to be alive. And then solving in oncology all these problems with cancer, developing new drugs for health and longevity. It's just a frothy frontier, and it's all happening right now. There's no better time in history to be alive and doing what we do than right now. It is the best time.
I love that, actually, and it's a message at the moment while I think some businesses are struggling, is to you can either look at the opportunity or you can look at the pain. And I think you have to kind of look at the opportunity right now, don't you?
Well, imagine me looking at my little daughter and son's beautiful faces saying, I missed the wave. I didn't take it. They'd be like, what are you schmuck? What are you thinking? Did you see what happened back then? It's like the .com thing.
Yeah,
like, you don't want, you know.
Are we going to see them take over Shiels and Grahams? Or
well, who knows what the world's going to be like by then. Hopefully they're on to bigger and better things. I don't know.
Wait and see. Too young and wait and see. A couple of rapid fire questions. Tell me the most impactful book, podcast, training program you have ever experienced. What's something that's stayed with you, or fundamental things that have helped shape you, you know, as a leader or entrepreneur?
The book that had the most impact on my business has been a book called The Beginning of Infinity by David Deutsch, which is a book about, it's a physics book, but it's a philosophy book, and it really is about the truth of science and how falsifiability and the error correction, all that stuff that I've been banging on about in the interview, it's all come from that book and from, you know, originally Karl Popper, the philosopher Karl Popper, but David Deutsch is a much more digestible and exciting version of that. And it permeates everything. Since I read it every year. I read that book every year. It's the only book I read every year. But it's just so densely packed with stuff. I can understand 10% of it, but it's enough to have created all these businesses off the back of that knowledge.
I have not read it. I will add it to the list.
Yeah, you need to.
If a leader listening today wants to improve their performance tomorrow, what's the first practical step they should take?
If they want to
improve their performance or their business.
The first practical step to improve your business would be to really pay attention to the first principles. Really, like, be curious about where your problems are. Ask your people that are closest to them what they are.
Yeah.
And create a culture where people don't feel like they're going to be in trouble by telling you where the ugly parts of your business are.
Yeah.
And the problems. Like, you should, I would say, encourage a culture where people feel comfortable telling you where the ugly skeletons are.
I love that. Comfortable with the ugly. Got that.
Yeah.
That's good. And if you had a billboard for leaders everywhere, what would it say?
Oh, this is easy. Problems are inevitable and problems are soluble.
Yeah.
They're the only two commandments, and you can put them from Mount Sinai. They're the ones that we live and die by, I think. You can solve every problem. Unless it's prevented by the laws of physics. If it doesn't violate any physical law, then you can solve it given the right knowledge.
That's a perfect way to end. I think it sums you up perfectly as the person who I know who is not afraid to take on any challenge and does it with a smile. Thank you so much.
Cheers. Thank you. Thanks, Paulette.
Cheers. Thank you for joining us on the Ultimate Leader's Edge. I hope you enjoyed the episode as much as I enjoyed making it. We'd love for you to follow us, like and share so we can reach as many leaders as we possibly can. If you want to go deeper in your leadership journey and stop being the bottleneck, then you can follow us at performancecollectiveacademy.com.